Hello everyone, welcome to Metro Surveyors channel. This channel is dedicated for sharing knowledge and learning subjects on non-life insurance, risks, losses and claims. Now in this part 2, I explain about risk management with special reference to non-life insurance so that new entrants to insurance, students, trainee surveyors, junior surveyors, loss assessors, junior level insurance employees, insured employees, and general insured public who are dealing and looking after insurance and who want to gain basic knowledge can easily understand the subject and benefit themselves. Now let us go to the subject. What is risk management? Risk management means planning, arranging and controlling of activities and resources of concerned individuals or organizations to minimize the risk, its volume, severity and consequences. This risk management process includes and involves three main steps. 1. Risk identification, 2. Risk measurement and 3. Risk control. How to identify risks? The first and foremost step in managing the risk is to identify the risks. As a doctor diagnoses health condition of a patient by various examinations and lab tests, a qualified, experienced risk manager or a risk surveyor or the risk bearer himself, if necessary with the help and assistance of concerned experts, can easily identify various risks by spot inspection, survey, inquiry, verification and collection of relevant details and documents about the risk bearers and their persons, firms, age, experience, accounting systems, process, events, operations, premises, products, raw materials, plant and machinery, other assets and liabilities, employees, suppliers, customers, distribution systems, safety measures and safety equipment and prevailing social, economic, legal, geographical and political events, environments and situations seriously and without neglecting any one of these aspects, all in risk angle, and to minimize such risk, control its impact and thus possible losses. How to identify various types of losses? Let us take for example, you are an owner of a textile mill where we can identify these risks of losses. You are exposed to the risk of property losses since there exist various properties like building, plant and machineries, electrical fixtures, fittings, apparatus, equipment, furniture, stocks of raw materials, semi-finished goods, finished goods, packing material, consumables and vehicles to handle and transport material and employees. 2. You are exposed to the risk of personal losses since number of workers, employees and staff are employed. 3. You are exposed to the risk of liability losses since you may become legally liable to make compensation in case of any accidents to your employees or others lawfully on duty. 4. You are exposed to the risk of interruption loss since the industry may become inoperative to continue its production and consequently suffer fall in turnover and loss of profit in case its properties are destroyed in a peril. 5. You are exposed to the risk of pecuniary loss since your key persons in charge of money or stock are vulnerable to fraud. The next step in identifying the risk is to search for the possible cause of the loss. For example, fire may be the cause for property losses when the properties are burned. The same fire may be the cause for personal losses like death, total or partial disablement when persons are caught in fire. The same fire may also cause damage to neighbor's property and or injury to third parties, resulting in liability losses. The same fire may cause consequential loss or loss of profit when building and machines are burned. In the example I cited, only in the case of property loss, fire was the direct and immediate cause. The other losses were consequences of the property loss. That is, had there been no fire, there would have been no damage to the building and machinery property. Had there been no damage to the building and machinery property, there would have been no death and disablement to persons, and also there would have been no compensation liability to neighbors. These underlying or consequential losses could not have occurred at all had there been no fire. Therefore, more attention should be on the immediate cause like fire and allied peril. Why and how to measure the risk? Having identified the risk, its probability, impact, and severity must be measured by examining its frequency and size in relation to its value. One cannot buy insurance against losses which are not measurable in terms of money. Therefore, for a risk to be covered for insurance, it must be measured in terms of money. That means the probable losses must be estimated. For example, the property losses can be measured by collecting supporting documents and books of account for purchases, erection, maintenance of various properties. The personal losses can be measured by collecting supporting documents and books of account for employment of various categories of employees and their remuneration. The liability losses can be measured by collecting details as to the compensation normally awarded by courts in the area concerned for various accidents and legal liabilities. Consequential losses can be measured by collecting the books of account for all the properties purchases, raw material purchases, sale of finished goods, expenses, gross profit and net profit, etc., which are taken into account to arrive at the loss of profit or consequential loss. The pecuniary losses, for example, to arrive the infidelity, to measure the infidelity of employees under fidelity guarantee policy, can be measured by collecting supporting documents and books of account for all the stock, cash or other responsibility entrusted to the employee. How to control risks? After identifying and measuring the risks, the next step in risk management is to see how best to control the risks to reduce its impact, frequency, severity, and value at least. The risk may be controlled by elimination or avoidance, minimization or reduction, transfer, insurance, and by retention. How to eliminate risks? Risk can be eliminated by completely avoiding the activities that stimulate it. For example, a man can eliminate the risk of tobacco-induced cancer by avoiding the cigarette smoking and tobacco chewing. A manufacturer may eliminate the risk associated with a part that involves hazardous process like heavy cutting, heating and melting process by purchasing the part from another firm as ready-made to assemble. But the option of risk elimination is not available in many cases. For example, a manufacturer cannot completely eliminate use of electricity to avoid risk of breakdown of machineries by voltage fluctuation. An householder cannot completely avoid cooking fearing fire but can opt for gas, kerosene, electricity or firewood, each one having the risk of fire in a different range. How to minimize risks? Risk may be minimized, for example, by avoiding the services and opinions of experts in respective field, by control and under supervision of risk manager, protection officer, by educating safety rules and by good training, by good housekeeping, by barricading hazardous areas, by installing fire protection equipment, smoke vents, burglar alarm, etc. How to transfer risks? The risk of loss may be transferred, for example, by entrusting the risk involved work to subcontractors who are specialized in the field and have courage to accept responsibility for any loss. In a proposed industry, the work of pile foundation, erection of lifts, cooling and air conditioning, boiler erection, electrical works are often subcontracted to the respective specialist firm. The risk of loss during erection period rests with them. Where the current risk bearer feel they are not capable of bearing the risk anymore, can legally transfer the same to any legal heirs or buyers. The other way of risk control is transferring the risk to insurer. That is called insurance. This is the common method of risk transfer. By purchasing insurance, one can transfer the risk to insurance company. One who got the risk transferred already by subcontract from original risk bearer can again transfer the risk to insurer. What is risk retention? When risk bearers are not transferring their risks by any one of the methods I explained above, it means they are retaining the risk of loss with them. This is called risk retention. They can retain the risk themselves by charging the losses to normal operating cost, by setting aside regular contributions to a special contingency fund to meet the losses, by borrowing fund to cover the cost of losses and repaying over an agreed period, etc. This self-funding method to meet out the loss cannot be called as self-insurance because the responsibility for the risk remains with the risk bearer. On happening of any loss, if the fund is inadequate or has been appropriated for other purposes, the risk bearer is left to bear the financial consequences alone. Thank you for watching. We will meet on some other topic. Till then, bye.